Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, if you don't mind, I'm going to like to read a little short statement to the records, and we'll go from there. We're working off LC 491526S, and this is a Senate substitute. You good with that?
Yep, that's correct.
All right. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, we have worked on this bill now for roughly 3 years. We have accepted and worked for changes with multiple groups. We took their concerns to heart, and we did not say no to one group who came to us. To name some groups who work with Georgia Equality, from whom we added a safe space clause for kids who feel afraid to talk to their parents. So that's in there. We have worked with school superintendents group, from whom we changed the way we dealt with public schools completely. Public school parents now have a broad process they can leverage for transparency in the formulation of these policies around the sensitive nature of this issue. Private school parents do not have, and public schools have asked for more autonomy to use that process instead, which we gave them. We worked in earnest to make this bill fair while still achieving our goal of making sure children's parents are involved in these sensitive and often life-changing issues. This is a transparency bill, nothing more. The only change in this bill since the last time we heard it is a very minor change. Now, if the committee sub merely says that we changed from opt-out to an opt-in at private schools, making it separate from any other documents or contracts that a private school requires parents to sign, we felt that an opt-in was a more efficient way to go about ensuring that this did not slip through the cracks with busy parents who work and raise their children. There will be a set time during which they will need to get the documents into the school, which will be set by the school, Mr. Chairman. And those are the changes that has been made on this bill, and that is it, except the fact that we have worked on it for 3 years. Mr. Chairman, I would like to introduce, to start off this conversation, Jeff Cleghorn, who is an expert witness in this issue here. And if you don't mind, I'll let him take the mic. He's on number 2, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Jeff Cleghorn, sixth-generation Georgian, live in Butts County, Army veteran, retired lawyer, and have been a gay rights activist for the last 3 decades. I served on the board of directors of Georgia Equality and Lambda Legal and am a past president of the Stonewall Bar Association. I have long advocated for the equal dignity of gay and lesbian Georgians and Americans. SB 88 is necessary because queer, gender identity, transgender activism, and the transgender medical industry are aggressively targeting children of all ages, including inside school classrooms. This is a belief system that many people, me included, do not believe in. The gay rights movement succeeded because we changed hearts and minds, and we did it the old-fashioned way by telling the truth about our lives. And today, gays and lesbians live in every Georgia county happy and content to love our families and be good citizens. I have long known and worked with many transgender people, and I know that they only want to live their lives in peace, free from mistreatment by anyone. And I'm glad trans Americans and Georgians now have every legal right as the rest of us, with the Supreme Court recently expanding Title VII to include workplace protections for transgender. But as a result of piggybacking transgender activism on the gay movement of yesterday, transgender activists never did the work. They skipped right over the changing hearts and minds part. Instead, they stridently declared that, quote, LGBTQ plus is now a single identity, and that some people can be both sexes at the same time, while other people are neither male nor female, and some people are born in the wrong body, and some women have a penis, and there are 58 different genders and as many pronouns. SB 88 is necessary because the former gay rights movement has been hijacked by those pushing this dishonest gender ideology on children. This is about much more than helping kids with gender dysphoria, most of whom will grow up to be gay or lesbian if left alone, according to every study ever conducted on the subject. This is about indoctrinating kids into a belief system that is not real. Tens of millions of dollars are spent each year by groups like GLSEN and the Trevor Project, specifically targeting kids with this ideology. And queer activists push this belief system that gender and sex and sexuality can mean whatever someone says they mean, and there should be no boundaries. Parents have every right to know if this stuff shows up in their child's school. No one had ever heard of a transgender child until recently, and today we see tens of thousands of young females soliciting GoFundMe donations online to amputate their healthy breasts or to have, quote, gender-affirming hysterectomies. 15 years ago, there were only 2 or 3 so-called gender clinics. Today, there are hundreds, including more than 50 pediatric. The skyrocketing thousands of percent recent increase in kids claiming a trans identity is not by accident. And children are being harmed. There are more than 52,000 members of a Reddit detransitioner group, mostly young lesbians and gay men, with gut-wrenching stories of regret, sterility, loss of sexual function, early onset osteoporosis, and vaginal atrophy, as the transgender medical industry is laughing all the way to the bank. SB 88 is needed because they are proselytizing this queer sex sexuality ideology to children. Activists in schools have no business interfering with the parent-child relationship. Do not let schools teach kids to keep secrets from their parents. These are not Georgia values. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have some folks here also to testify. They know the time constraints. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. So we've got our first speaker, Gabe Hartwig.
Hello, I rise today in support of this bill because I believe that parents should have the right to decide what their children learn in regard to controversial topics like so-called gender identity. I also believe that parents have a right to know if individuals they trust their children with are having discussions with those children on such sensitive topics. Additionally, by providing funding and tax incentives to schools that dabble in this dangerous ideology, the state tacitly is stamping a seal of approval on the things that those schools teach. I don't think the gender concepts that have been pushed in other states represent the values of the people of Georgia. Cases around the country have shown that it's time for legislation here in Georgia, and I hope that you will consider voting for this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellie Rydell.
My name is Ellie, and I stand before you as a proud member of Gays Against Groomers, a nonprofit organization dedicated to ensuring the safety and well-being of all children. We advocate against the indoctrination, sexualization, and medicalization of children being done LGBTQIA. I'm here in tentative support of Senate Bill 88, a bill that would increase transparency between schools and parents of attending children regarding a child's gender identity and exposure to gender ideology. SB 88 is a step in the right direction, a sliver of hope for parents who desire inclusion in their children's lives and have been feeling pushed out by the education system. This bill proposes full transparency between schools and parents when it comes to matters of gender dysphoria, changes in identity, pronouns, and appearance that may indicate an identity crisis in their child. It's a good attempt towards rebuilding the trust that has been strained between schools and parents, by requiring schools to keep parents in the loop about their children's well-being. The bill not only honors parental rights, but also restores a sense of empowerment and partnership in the upbringing of our future. It's not about restricting a child's right to express their identity. It's about recognizing the importance of collaboration between schools and parents and fostering a safe and supportive environment for every child. As a member of Gays Against Groomers, we understand the value of creating spaces that encourage openness, acceptance, and understanding. SB 88 aligns with these principles by acknowledging the critical role parents play in their children's lives. This bill sends a message that our lawmakers are listening and that they recognize parents and that they are committed to compromise in creating a more inclusive and transparent educational system. In conclusion, I urge you to support Senate Bill 88. Let us embrace this opportunity to rebuild trust, empower parents, and pave the way for a future where the safety and happiness of our children are shared priorities for all. Thank you.
Thank you. And we've got Lawrence Widener is on deck.
Good evening, afternoon, I guess. Hello, my name is Skylar Akins. I'm the policy director for the Log Cabin Republicans of Georgia. The Georgia chapter of the Log Cabin Republicans, the nation's largest and oldest organization for gay and lesbian Republicans and conservatives, is asking for your vote for Senate Bill 88, also known as the Parents and Children Protection Act. We believe this bill empowers parents by requiring schools to adopt specific policies about the discussions of gender identity, the counseling of children with gender dysphoria, and other gender ideology topics. It preserves the right of parents of privately schooled children to opt out now in and believe that if they unscientific, goes against their beliefs, or is simply inappropriate, and empowers parents to take a more active role in their children's education and give them transparency over what is taught. Our organization represents thousands of patriotic gay and lesbian Georgians throughout the state of Georgia. We are the leading force against the dangerous far-left policies pushed by groups such as Georgia Equality and Human Rights Campaign, which have largely taken over by radicals. They do not represent the views of many gay and lesbians in this state. Like any sensible American, we are saddened that we would even need such legislation, but to not act is simply off the table because of the effects of drastic ideologies such as queer theory or gender identity are having on our children here in Georgia and elsewhere. We must enact common sense policy legislation like Senate Bill 88 to help curb the dangers of radical policies permeating our schools, churches, and institutions. We stand ready to work with any member of the General Assembly to pass legislation to protect children, empower parents, and preserve Georgia as the best place in America to raise a family, work, play, do business, and call home. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and committee members, my name is Lawrence Winder. I am a father and I'm an educator. I tutor all over Metro Atlanta, Georgia. I tutor Gwinnett, Fulton, Forsyth, Hall, Rockdale, Newton, and Cobb County. And it's disheartening to see that there are elements of wokeism being taught, permeating all over city districts in our curriculum. Gender ideology, queer theory should have no place in kids' classrooms. If this Trojan horse of queer theory, gender ideology, is to be allowed in children's classrooms, then we should give power back to the people and allow parents, those who want to opt in to listen on this gender ideology, to do that, but for others, for parents to have the option to not have that in their classrooms. And by doing so, we restore good faith back to the schools and build back trust and confidence of parents to their schools. With that, I yield back time.
Thank you. We've got Avion Brew.
Good afternoon. I'm a proud parent of two wonderful boys, and I'm a concerned citizen in our country with the state of our affairs, especially when it comes to education. When I was made aware of SB 88, I was dismayed that we would be even having conversations about gender-related studies with children as young as elementary school age. I don't find it appropriate to have these conversations without parental consent, and therefore it should be law that only this content would be shared with children after parents have decided to opt into this information. I too grew up in New York City, growing up, a very diverse area before making my way south of the Mason-Dixon line. And though I have heels on today and beautiful dresses, I identified as a proud tomboy for many years of my life, to be quite honest with you. And I really do think we have to go back to a more simplistic way of understanding life. It's okay for a child to be a tomboy or a tomgirl. It's okay to come out as gay and lesbian. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not the place of our educators to be political activists in these classrooms indoctrinating our children. Get back to teaching STEM. Get back to teaching science, technological studies, engineering, and mathematics. It is not the place to go down the road of ideology. And I yield my time.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor of do pass, please raise your hand. 4, 6. All opposed? Passes 6-3. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.